Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Rotor Talk Live, Season 5, Episode 44. 44. It's like the year's gone by here. DJI Mavic 3 Classic releases next week. How is everyone doing this evening? I'd like to go ahead. Let's go ahead right away and get everybody welcomed here. 107 Drones is here. USA Drone Flyer is here. Dr. Ted is here. Drone Views Media. Johnny Drone Flyer. Richard's here. Matt Bagwell, John Olson, welcome. John Leonard Oglesby is here. Let's see who else we got. Casey Crime Fighter, welcome, my friend. Good to see you. Mr. Stephen Ewing, thank you so much for tuning in. We know the effort that you make to do that, and we really appreciate that. Michael Wright is here. John Olson is here. Let's see who else we got. Sergeant Rock is here. Rex is in the house. Welcome, Rex. Good to see you tonight. All right, got a full house here, and got a lot to talk about, believe it or not. We know coming up next week, we got the Mavic 3 Classic. We're going to talk about that towards the end of the show, and we're going to kind of combine that with something else I want to talk about at the same time, and they go together. These subjects go together. Before we get into anything, I want to thank everybody for their support last week, for my little statement that I read at the end and about what's going on. Appreciate your thoughts and prayers, because next Monday at 8 o'clock, I go back to the dentist, and this is where we get all the financials. And let me put you this way, and I'm being as serious as I possibly can. It's probably going to delay my retirement. All right. And it's significant, because unless I hit the Powerball between now and when work starts, yeah, we're going to have to, it's just, we don't know. So appreciate your thoughts and prayers for this, because it's going to be a process. It's going to take time, and I'm patient, and I'm willing to get this done. I'm just really kind of frightened about the cost. Both Valerie and I are. So appreciate that a lot here. Okay. I want to get into the show here tonight, and we do actually have a lot to talk about, believe it or not. Let's see here. I'm going to go ahead and get the first article up here. Okay. The Air 2S is going to be bundled with the DJI RC. We got a picture of that, and there's an article, and let's go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and put that up on the screen here. That's pretty incredible here, and it's actually a leak from I believe it was Deal's Drone. And let's go ahead, and I'm going to go ahead and share that here. All right, you can see there it is all together here. Box packaging of the extremely popular Air 2S drone with a new DJI RC full HD screen remote has surfaced online. The new leak cements recent speculations that DJI's latest remote controller will add compatibility for the Air 2S this month. According to leakers, the C11 Deal's Drone, the new SKU will feature the Air 2S Fly More combo with the DJI RC, so you can look forward to 2 extra batteries, a battery charging hub, ND filters, a shoulder bag right out of the box. Air 2S is a stellar drone, a ton of features. Many expected new Mini Pro to become the Air 2S killer, but the 1-inch CMOS sensor of the latter offers some distinct advantages. DJI RC was initially launched aside the Mini 3 Pro, but can now be purchased as standalone for $309. When paired with drones that support O3 transmissions such as Air 2S, DJI RC can provide a low latency 1080p 60 frames per second live feed with a maximum transmission range 15 kilometers. Okay, it's pretty incredible. All right, that this is coming to fruition, and of course the time. You guys know as well as I do, okay? DJI is the master at timing with things like this, okay? And understand something, and I kind of want to go back here a little bit to, we talked about that DJI store having their special and the golden ticket and all that, okay? And we all laugh at it, and with good reason. It really was absolutely nothing. But, one of the things it does is it draws people to their site, okay? And, there's a lot to be said for getting people to a website with marketing. Marketing has changed so much since I got my business degree back in 1980. Okay. It's a lot of it, obviously is online, and, it's so tied into what we click on, what we look, what we view, and everything. And, DJI gets all these reports on who's out there on the site. Okay. Now they're going to be looking at these, they're going to be looking at this and seeing what we're doing. Like I said, DJI is a company that doesn't waste, they don't waste anything. And, even though these promos seem kind of lame, and they were genuinely lame, there really wasn't a whole lot. It got them traffic to their website. Okay. And it's going to be coming up here. And what we're going to be seeing with this traffic here, okay, what we're going to be seeing with all this is obviously, we have the Air 2S bundle is going to be coming up. And I imagine this is going to be imminent. It's going to happen probably before the end of the month. And I know we're going to talk about Mavic 3 Classic, towards the end of the show, but it's probably going to be coming towards the end of the month. I would be real surprised if it lingered into November, because they want to get this bundle out there and available and in front of people before Black Friday. I mean, that's just my 2 cents worth on all this. That's my thoughts. If you guys have any other thoughts on that, let me know. That's what I think. Bill Thomas is in the house. Welcome, Bill. Trini Weeks is in the house. Mark White's here. Captain Ray is here. And I also want to do this. I want to stop right now. Captain Ray, thank you so much. Captain Ray sent me some wonderful stickers from his show and from Johnny and from he and Johnny's show on Wednesday. So thank you so much for those. That will find a place out on one of my 2 cases that they will go on there. Thank you so much for those. I really appreciate that. And guys, I'm going to say this. Captain Ray does so much for the drone community. Okay. He always tells me that I do. Okay. Captain Ray does. Okay. And if you're able to get down for the South Florida drone meet on April the 1st, I better remember these dates here. If you can get down for that, do so. I had a blast last year. It was just so much fun. Even though Marcus lost a drone, which was painful, everybody had a good time, and it was great to rub shoulders with everybody. I mean, flying the drones were fun, but, for lack of a better term, the sharing with each other and the getting to know each other. And, we had a nice dinner together, and, the Friday night, we went to, it was really basically a pool hall, but, we had food to eat, drinks, got to talk to everybody, and it was just a wonderful time. So you guys want to come, you guys can come down at all, please do so. And again, it's April the 1st. And Captain Ray, if you want to drop the link, Ray, if you want to drop the link in the chat, that would be great for the Facebook page, Facebook group, so people can get more information on that. Please do so. You will do yourself a great favor in getting down there. It was a wonderful trip for Valerie and I, and we're looking forward to getting down there again. And we're looking forward to having a lot of fun. And it was great to get to meet. I got to meet a lot of you guys, and it was absolutely awesome. I just had a wonderful time with that. Okay. All right. Let's see. What do we got next here? All right. Just trying to get my. All right. Everybody was talking about DJI and their privacy information and, the federal government. We've talked about that. That's been gone on, being blacklisted and all this kind of stuff because, DJI takes all this information. Well, there was a leak. It was a DJI Aeroscope leak. Now, we're going to take a look at this here, and I want to talk about this for a few minutes. I'm going to go ahead and get this here. Okay. All right. In a data breach, DJI Aeroscope database with information from hundreds of airspace monitoring devices made by the Chinese drone maker was made public. The database contained more than 80,000 drone IDs. The Cyber News research team has discovered that unencrypted database containing over 90 million drone monitoring records created by DJI Aeroscope systems. Okay. In 2017, DJI introduced DJI Aeroscope drone detection system so that drones could be identified while they were in the air. This was done in preparation with the FAA's remote ID for drones program. Okay, and here's a look at their code right here and some of their monitoring. The company's drone monitoring equipment, DJI Aeroscope, can identify the vast majority of popular drones on the market today. They found an open database with more than 90 million records of drone monitoring from 66 DJI Aeroscope devices, most of which were in the United States. Some were in Qatar, while others were in Germany, France, and Turkey. Logs contain the drone's position, model, and serial number, as well as the pilot's position and home location, usually the point of takeoff. Data set included no personally identifiable information. In all, Cyber News discovered approximately 80,000 distinct drone IDs in the instance. Okay, DJI informed Cyber News the 54.5 gigabyte data set identified by our researchers on July 11th and housed by AWS in the United States is not their property, implying the data was most likely disclosed by one of DJI's customers while utilizing DJI's Aeroscope to monitor the aerospace for drone. Because the server was hosted on AWS and had no domains allocated to it, our researchers could not trace out the owner, even with the assistance of VirusTotal, Centropolis Domain Dossier, Nmap, and Dig, among other important open source intelligence tools. Cyber News told DJI and AWS about the leaking database and asked them to fix it as soon as possible so the threat actors wouldn't be able to get to the information. AWS said it has forwarded the security concern to specific customer for their awareness and potential mitigation. Drone monitoring is distressing enough for folks who take theirs out for a spin or to gather overhead video. Drone monitoring is unavoidable given security considerations, yet it's fair to expect surveillance data to be stored in secured systems. This information is disturbing to enthusiasts since it may effectively expose the path your drone takes. And let's go ahead, and I know there was also an article here, basically the same thing on Drone DJ that talked about it as well. And one of the things that I want to share here with this, and I think it's important here, is, you know, DJI is playing an approach like, well, this isn't our, this wasn't our leak. We weren't responsible for it. Let's, basically they're trying to pass the buck here, and, it's convoluted as you saw in the article from Drone XL from High Kesteloo. They tried to trace this and they couldn't trace it. They don't know who the owners are. And, that's kind of, it can be done like that, and it can be real difficult, but I'm sure eventually they probably could. And, there's ways to hide things like that. And that's beyond my scope of expertise in IT. And I've been in IT for over 30 years. So, I don't know that kind of security server aspect thing. And I'm not familiar with those type of protocols. Some of you may be, I don't know. It's an open book on this. All right. And this data has gotten out, and I think what we should be concerned about, and what we should say is to our government officials, when you're coming out with this remote ID, are these servers going to be secure enough that this information isn't going to get out like this was? Okay. We should make sure, we need to kind of like get on them about this. I'm serious about this. All right. As the article said, and it was done real well, and I'm pretty sure High writes most of the articles for Drone XL. It's risky enough for us, as we go out to fly, with remote ID being in an eventuality. It's coming around the corner real fast. It's around third and heading for home, and we're gonna have to be a part of it. It's not going to be optional for us, unless we fly a sub 250 gram drone all the time. But our data, it's bad enough that law enforcement's going to know this if there's a data breach out there. I mean, and I'm sure all of you, okay, I'm sure all of you have gotten an email about your data being breached, and that company's offering you credit monitoring for a year or whatever, and all this kind of good stuff. It happens, and there are bad actors out there who want to get that data, and what they're going to do with this data, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. That's just yeah. Um, I don't know. Well, one of the things, there was another article here, and this was on Drone DJ, and I want to talk about this because I know Ron and Marcus covered on their show last night about the incident at the Major League Baseball playoff game over the weekend, and there. Let's go ahead, and I don't want to bring this up because I think this is an important article here, and I want to talk about the ramifications of that because I think this is something we kind of all need to pay attention to. Let's go ahead and bring this up here. Okay. D-Drone's handheld counter UAV D-Drone Defender unveiled. Okay. It kind of looks like a gun, but counter UAV detection and mitigation specialist D-Drone has unveiled its new handheld D-Drone Defender solution for effectively jamming invasive craft in urban environments. Virginia-based company says D-Drone Defender completes its line of counter UAV tech by offering clients a small, lightweight platform, ensuring targeted, precision radio frequency jamming of unauthorized, dangerous, or otherwise potentially troublesome drones. It says the product is ideal for civilian, state, and local law enforcement users and other operators needing to keep designated airspaces UAV-free in urban settings without disrupting ambient radio signals, okay? Weighing in at just 7.5 pounds and measuring only 22 inches long, D-Drone Defender is described by the company as one of the lightest and most compact counter UAV products on the market. It uses narrow band or comb jamming to minimize disruption to surrounding devices using various signals, including Wi-Fi, as it breaks communication links between pilots and unauthorized drones. To do so, it interfaces with the D-Drone Tracker command and control platform, which detects, tracks, identifies, and continuously prioritizes threats through autonomous background interrogation of possible targets, then singles out specific communication protocols of intruding aircraft. Once these have been neutralized, the D-Drone Defender UAV system goes into a pre-programmed safety mode to minimize risk to others and damage to the vehicle. Like the earlier Drone Defender counter UAV system, D-Drone Defender is effective against single drones and swarms alike. It can be operated in traditional handheld mode, supported by a phone-based app, and in the first quarter of next year will also be usable mounted on a tailored positioner for automatic targeting as a pan-tilt jammer. Say the new D-Drone Defender not only provides a sleek, highly transportable anti-UAV assets to users, but is also an effective complement to the company's full range of detection and mitigation devices. Drone Defender is a valuable resource for extreme hostile environments, as proven by our federal and military customers. And announcing a new addition, this extends security to law enforcement as a vital tool and layered defensive approach. It's easy to implement and use for drone mitigation, especially when combined with threat prioritization provided excuse me, by D-Drone Tracker. Our solution library is continuously updated to ensure both Drone Defender and D-Drone Defender are able to mitigate even the newest manufactured and DIY drones. Okay. Wow. Oh, wow. Okay. Wow. That's a mouthful. Okay. And I'm going to say this right away here. Yeah, Lon, it is. And, I know you do know absolutely everything about drones, but maybe you can learn something too. Why not? That's what we're all here for, aren't we? This was an interesting article in light of the conversation last night on Drone Nation. There was a very good conversation last night on Drone Nation about the incident that happened over, I believe it was the San Diego Padres, Los Angeles Dodgers, playoff game. And, there was some healthy discussion regarding that. So in comes this article about this company Dedrone and their jammer that they have here. And, why isn't this employed at ballparks to try to detect these drones and to stop them? Because, it poses a threat. Ron going down to the beach does not pose a threat. Marcus going to the Snake River Canyon does not pose a threat. Okay. Bill going out here in Waimama does not pose a threat. However, welcome, Marcus. Those people that fly over the ballparks, they pose a threat. Okay. The system's ready. It's available. Let's use it. How are you, Marcus?
Not too bad, Bill. I've just been flying literally every day, as much as I can every day. This weekend we go from summer to winter, so I'm trying to get the flights in while I can.
I can see why. We're kind of there right now ourselves, because we went from like the 90s and stuff, and the low's been in the 70s overnight. The lows are going to be in the 50s and dip down to the 40s. Okay, here, which people start getting their parkas out down here and break out the snowshoes. All right, when it hits that kind of temperature down here.
Speaking of snow, the forecast says by next Wednesday that we could have snow flurries.
No.
And on October 4th, you just mentioned the Snake River Canyon. I was standing on the edge of the canyon flying my Air 2S, and it was 90 plus degrees.
Yeah. It really is.
Summer, winter, nothing in between.
Oh yeah. Same thing down here. It like somebody flipped a light switch, and we've gone from now, totally summer. It was like 95 and humid. And then with this too, it's like, boom, humidity's gone. It's just like, this is my favorite time of year down in Florida, because the humidity's gone. The temperatures top out maybe in the 80s. Okay. And it's just plain old nice here. It's just like really nice. So, this device I talked about, this Dedrone device. Okay. This is the perfect solution for what happened at the ballpark over the weekend.
Yeah, I don't, man. I wish I knew, Bill. What I worry about is I sure don't want some individual getting a hold of something like that, thinking that they're protecting their house or whatever it is, and you're flying your drone someplace and somebody's shooting it down for sport.
Yeah, see, I don't think they're going to be available only available to law enforcement, and first responders. I don't think they're going to be made available to the general public at all. So, I think that's part of that. I mean, but the question that I want to ask about this, and I know here's a couple of things. It says it's not going to interfere with radio signals. Okay. And I'm sorry. All right. My other hobby, ham radio. Okay.
Makes no sense.
It's going to interfere with these signals. I don't care. It'll be on there because, my one rig, it's what's called, and I'll give real quick 10-second lesson here. It's an HF rig. Okay. And HF is high frequency, or really that, welcome, Ron. It's really, for being able to talk over in Europe or South America or Asia. Okay. All right. With these rigs here. Okay. It has a spectrum scope on it. So you can see the waterfall and you see everything on there. It's going to show up there as bright as day. Okay. And I'm saying this isn't going to affect radios. That's a out and out lie. I can tell you that right now. Okay. The other thing that I have a concern about is this. All right. When you target that drone, okay, let's say it's a non-DJI drone. Okay. And let's say it's not going to automatically return to home when you disrupt that signal. So where's the drone going to go?
That's true. If it falls out of the sky, that's a problem caused by that.
Yeah. So
are you falling out of the sky? Are you talking about the Avata?
No.
Oh, okay.
There was an article on Drone DJ about this company coming out with an anti-UAV weapon, if you will. It's called Dedrone.
Yeah,
and it targets them specifically. It can be made handheld, and they're coming out with it like early next year, which seems like an ideal solution for what went on over the weekend with the baseball games. And, but who knows? And like I was just telling Marcus, it's like, okay, what if you target a non-DJI drone and they don't have a automatic return to home, or it's not set, and that drone falls out of the sky like a brick?
Marcus, I talked about this off air recently, that what would happen, because again, you don't want something to fall out of the air, because if it's in a dangerous location, it could fall to injure somebody. Going in return to home mode would be good, but how many outside of, like, I don't know, like toy drones or whatever, how many modern drones do not have some sort of form of return to home?
That's a good question, Ron. That's a real good question.
Yeah, shoot, as you know, Bill, even these little toy drones now have typically, and typically it works pretty darn good too.
Yeah,
so.
it does.
I mean, the real danger is, what if somebody was flying a non-GPS drone and you knocked its signal loose, then you would have to fly away or whatever.
Yeah, that would be a runaway, and it would cause all kind of havoc.
Those crazy FPV guys.
Well, you mean the ones that fly non-DJI?
Yeah, well, I suppose the DJI drone,
the Avata and the DJI FPV drone would, if their signal got disrupted, would they go into a default return to home mode? I don't know. I'm kind of asking.
Yeah, I don't know either. No clue.
Yeah.
In other words, if they were flying it in non-GPS, I don't know. Here's Koopy. He could tell us.
Yeah.
He told us exactly.
Yeah, he said it'd fall like a brick.
Yeah.
That would be more dangerous than letting the drone keep flying, because, as Marcus and I pointed out last night in the show, even though drones showing up at sporting events is becoming almost a weekly thing, none of those stories end with the drone crashed and injured or destroyed any property or did any damage whatsoever. I mean, I know people have these science fiction dreams of these consumer drones flying in with carrying bombs and blowing up a stadium like that Black Sunday movie from the 70s. But I mean, I'm not saying it's not possible, but it hasn't even remotely come close to happening.
The only one I can remember, Ron, is, I don't know if you guys will remember, way back the GoPro Karma. There was one of those in a stadium, and I don't even remember where it was, but it hit like a netting or something and fell down. And so that'll tell you how long ago that was. And but I don't think it hit anybody, and I don't think it hurt anybody. And so that's kind of my point. Listen, I'm not saying that we should be flying in stadiums, but I'm saying it's never hurt anybody. Now, the bad thing is it stops the game, etc.
Bill, I mentioned this last night on the Drone Nation show. Bill and Kyle have put on his Twitter feed that DJI should put geofencing around all the ballparks to prevent this from happening. But people came up with some cons for that solution.
Yeah, that could be real problematic.
Yeah, I disagree with that.
Because and for instance, and I know, our good friend Johnny Alfonso, he flies over that empty stadium. Our also good friend Jeff Voigt up in Annapolis, Maryland, he flies over the Naval Academy Stadium when it's empty. I mean,
yeah, because what's certainly that for people. Usually, these temporary flight restrictions are only in place, during the ball game or before and after. Like on a day when there's no event there, they're not in place.
Yeah, they're not in place, so you can fly over them. And and I think Michael Wright posted last night too. He gets permission to do it. He flew over Texas Stadium. So
so I don't know this answer, but when there is a TFR over an area, does the DJI software come and go? In other words, does it stop you only for that period of time and then it goes away? Or when DJI puts up a no-fly zone on their drone or an area that you have to get permission, is that all the time?
Good question.
I can't answer that. I'm not sure. I'm sure people in the chat probably know. Lon Dennard knows, I guarantee you.
Well, I'm sure he does.
I put you on the spot, Lon.
Well, all this being said, it's kind of like, because and I go back and I think about that football playoff game last year. Now, that guy was pretty bold. It was at the Bengals game, Ron. I think you probably remember that.
The playoff game from last year?
Yeah, and he actually put it on YouTube, okay?
Yeah.
I'm like, okay. He's just like, he was like begging to be caught. for
He wanted
something like
15 minutes of fame more than he was concerned about doing any time.
Yeah.
Well, I'll go you one better. The guy that flew into the police situation in Southern California, was it last year or the year before, and hit the police helicopter?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
you know, a lot of times these guys, they're not the sharpest pencil in the pack.
Yeah, and then there was one in New Jersey. It was a Phantom 4. It hit a Army helicopter. They recovered the Phantom 4. It had the serial number on it, and
On
they
the
traced
motor.
it back to the guy. You know, it's like, you know, people think they're going to get away with stuff, and they're not. Okay, it's just, you know, there's no easy answer for this. There really isn't, and I wish there was. I mean, I wish it was, but there's not. I mean, you know, it's like, you know, you think about trying to regulate this, which you can to a certain degree. Okay, and people are wondering why, you know. And they brought up a good point, Hy did in his article about the Aeroscope breach, and talking about, you know, people want
80,000 IDs are out there, Bill.
Yeah, you know, we should expect, you know, with remote ID, that data that they get, that law enforcement gets, okay, that it's kept secure, all right, and not accessible. But both of you know as well as I do, you know, pretty soon, you know, maybe a couple months down later, you'll get an email from the FAA, you know, your data's been breached and da-da-da and all this crap, you know. So it's like, who knows? But I'll say another thing on the other hand, okay? Everybody's going to see that Ron flies over the beach down at Margate. Everybody's going to see that Marcus flies over Heroes Park or the Snake River Canyon, okay? Everybody's going to see Bill flies in Wimauma, Florida. Okay. You know what, you know, really that kind of information is really inconsequential. Okay.
Yeah.
You know, it's not going to have Social Security, birth date.
Right. We were saying that they have just kind of stuff you could just Google search and find out about people. If somebody Googled hard enough, they could find out, like, you know, your name, your address, probably your phone number, whatever. So, but here's the thing I'm saying with the data breach. So, okay, what if the nefarious person is going to fly over the stadium? What if they somehow attach my data to the drone they're using? So when the drone's identified, it's linked to me because somehow they registered the drone under my name and address and phone number.
Okay, Ron, I'll go you one better. I have thought about that when I sell a used drone. Right? You just sell it. What, you know, yeah, I mean, obviously I pull my sticker off of it when I sell it, but somebody, they don't even register it and they go fly someplace and get in trouble, and they go back to the manufacturer. The first person that registered it was you or whatever, and you know, heck, then you're having to prove that you sold it. Who'd you sell it to?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know who he was. He was on Facebook, you know.
And yeah, what if you met somebody at the park and they gave you, you know, $500 in cash? You got no receipt, no bill of sale, no proof of this at all. You don't even know the person's name outside. They were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 at Gmail, you know, as their handle or whatever.
Yeah, and for God's sakes, Ron, for that matter, I mean, I've sold cars and stuff to private individuals. I don't know who they are the day after they buy it, right? I mean, you know, all I know is I got the money, you know.
Right. Well, okay. Koopy brings up a real good point here. Media should stop giving these drone events at the stadium so much attention. It's part of the problem. The drone flyers in the stadium shouldn't get a TV audience. Thank you, John. That's just John hit the nail on the head with this. Okay. You know, everybody wants their 15 minutes of fame. Okay. They're getting a lot of fame by doing this, and it's the wrong thing to do.
Bill, you remember this from a low tech thing back in the 70s. The fad pulled up the people jumping over the stadiums and run on the fields at football and baseball games. Bill, in fact, they even had streakers at one point. But remember, to stop that, they don't show on the camera anymore when they run across the field.
Hey, so Lon is making a point about your FAA registration number, and I agree with you, Lon, except that the thing that Bill just talked about, where the guy, you know, a military helicopter hit his Phantom, and they pulled the serial number off of the motor, and they tracked it through his registration with DJI when he registered the drone. So, I mean, you have a good point. But I'm just saying that I still think they could do it with the registration of
nice
the drone.
Is you have to
find the drone
DJI.
pieces, and Yeah.
Yeah. He said
You
if
were the
the
last
register-
one to register it. Yeah.
That's true. Okay. If the person doesn't register a drone, right? Yeah, I see. Okay, so you sell them an over 250-gram drone. They never register it at
Right.
all with anybody.
Right.
So it still belongs to you as far as maybe law enforcement is concerned.
Yeah. How do they? Well, and how would they know any different? I mean, they wouldn't know any different either, right? So yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, just a few thoughts to scare you a little bit.
Yeah. Of course, you know, one thing you have going for you nowadays, if they say you were flying at the, you know, whatever ballpark it was in New Jersey, and you were in a different state, your phone's GPS could show that you weren't there.
I didn't mean to, but Mark White
Right.
is making a really good point
Right.
there too, as well. He tried to re-register his, and DJI told him, said, "No, it's always just registered to the first person that bought it." So there you go.
Yeah, that's not good.
Yeah.
Well, you know, we all know that the Mavic 3 Classic is coming out next week, and
The
you know,
27th.
on the 27th, and you know, for $1,399, $1,400. You know, but I saw some things on some forums today in some groups, and I wanted to talk about this with you guys, and I wanted to get your input on this. Okay, is it really the DJI Air 3S? Okay, is this something that, you know, is DJI just going to say goodbye to the Air series? And because with this Mavic 3 Classic, okay, and both of you know, and I'm sure you're on board with this, okay, that camera is really what could be on an Air 3S. And
Yeah,
I want to hear your thoughts.
I believe you're right, Bill. I think that there isn't going to be an Air 3, and there's precedent, right? Because remember, after the original DJI Air, they just kind of let it fall by the wayside, and we had the Mavic 2 Zoom and Pro, then the Air 2 was a big surprise when they announced an Air 2, right? And,
yeah, it was.
So I think they could easily just let it fall by the wayside.
Yeah, I want to back up what Marcus is saying. You know, when this Classic 3 you know, releases or whatever, I think it'll do very well. At that point, I think, you know, the Air series can go into mothballs again for another year and a half before they, you know, reinvent it. By that time, they'll probably have some kind of a technology they can add to it that'll give it a leg up even on the Mavic 3 series. Because Mark, remember when you know, the Air 2 came out, especially the Air 2S, it had a leg up on the Mavic 2 Pro series because it had the 60 frames per second in 4K. It had a couple things that made it a little more.
Well, in the digital zoom, remember, Ron?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it had a few things that made it more desirable. So I think, Marcus, they're, like you said, they'll table that Air 3 for a while until they can put a few things into it that kind of give it a leg up on the Mavic 3 series.
Okay, Lon says Mavic 3 Classic is a Mavic 3 Classic. The Air 3 will have a vertical camera, 1-inch sensor, and variable aperture.
Could be. Yeah.
You know, that's food for thought. You know, I'm glad, Lon, you're contributing to this. This is great. This is
and the variable aperture, of course, is already on the. Hopefully, it's on the Mavic 3 Classic. It's already on the Mavic 3.
Hey, listen, you guys. I know better than to tell Lon he's wrong.
Yeah.
I'm smart.
You know, and I don't know how, you know, I don't know how big of a hit that the vertical camera is on the Mini 3 Pro. I mean, I know it gets a lot of talk. I don't know, you know, I don't know how used it really is, but let's go with Lon's theory, guys. Say that drone comes out, you know, in the next 6 months, you know, Mavic Air 3 with variable aperture and you know, the vertical video. Now, who's jumping in line to get that drone? Are you, Marcus, Bill? Are you stand in line to get that
number
thing?
one, you know, the vertical videos, you know, I can already do that in the Mini 3 Pro. Okay.
Yeah.
So if that's an appeal for me, you know, that's going to be a moot point. It's going to have something on it that the current Air series doesn't have, and that the Mavic 3 series doesn't have. Okay?
And that vertical video, that's fine. It's coming from the Mini 3. How big of a sensor do you need for something you just post on TikTok and Instagram?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let me ask you guys a quick question here, and I realize that we're all three old boomers. You know, we're not the generation. However, with the Mini 3 Pro, other than just trying it to see if it works, have you ever used the vertical video for anything?
No,
I've have taken a picture or two with the vertical. I've used it more for photos than I have video, Marcus.
Well,
yeah,
okay, I'll buy that, Ron. So, for instance, if you're looking at a tall, skinny structure or something, I could see where that would that you could use it. But the use case is pretty thin, isn't it? And at least for me. And I mean,
I will not run out and buy an Air 3 because it adds vertical video to it. It's got to bring something more to the table.
Yeah.
Well, keep in mind too, and this is before you guys join me, we talked about the Air 2S, with the DJI RC coming out, which I'm saying it's going to be imminent. It's just something that's going to happen. And, and I'm thinking it's going to happen before November hits. That's going to keep interest in the Air series.
I've lost track. Which drone, Bill, are you talking about now?
The Air 2S with the DJI RC bundle.
Oh yeah. Hey, and to answer Brad Henderson's question real quick, you have up on the chat here, Brad. That would be the next consumer drone. That will be the Mini 3 SE. SE,
yes, I agree.
Another good comment is Geeks Vana is talking. He's saying that 30% of his production clients are asking for vertical video. So there you go. Just because it's nothing that is important to us doesn't mean that it's not important to a big audience out there.
And welcome, Sean. Thank you for stopping in today. And that's a good point. It's DJI is going where the money is, and that's a good thing that Lon raised that point as well too. Because for us, thank you, Bob Dempsey, for the Old Farts group. We're all part of that. We're not the TikTok generation. We're not I use Instagram, but I use it to help more convey messages. I don't really use it I put pictures out there, but I use it to, get people, to look at the channel and those kind of things, and the only other vertical video I even think about using is I do YouTube Shorts because. And if you guys know, YouTube Shorts are now monetized. Okay, they weren't earlier, and I'm going to get back and I'm going to start doing some of them because they're monetized. It's like, why not? I've gotten some views with them. I did some tests with it. I'm going to go back. I'm going to just do some because little snippets of information, a little snip of a flight, get you some views, which will always help drive traffic to the channel, which is a good thing. So yeah, the vertical video is not. Normally for us three, that's not a part of our workflow. Okay. We don't really, unless we're like flying downtown and taking pictures of tall buildings or tall structures, vertical video isn't really, our bag kind of a thing.
Yeah. Well, Matty is making a point. He says the Air 2S will be relevant for a while, and I think it will. I will still say to this day, the Air 2S is the second best consumer drone that I own. The only one that's better is the Mavic 3. So yeah, it is a very capable product. It is not even close to being obsolete, not even close. But there's a lot of people here that are making good points. Mark White is talking about real estate, advertising companies. If they're on Facebook, they're using vertical video. Those are all great points.
Yeah, but again, we don't know how big of DJI's market for consumer drones is what we'll call them the enterprise, the pro market. I know for a company like Apple, people used to get an Apple because they didn't make enough enterprise stuff, but they were such a small smidgen of their customers that they didn't cater releases around to them. And I don't know how important it is for DJI to cater. I know they have their enterprise series drones, but to cater their consumer drones around the needs of the enterprise market. I don't know those numbers. We'll never know those numbers. They're a private company.
Puts out a good comment here. There's no way DJI is going to pass up a consumer drone release in the spring or summer, and I agree with him on.
Well, that could easily be a Mini 4. DJI, no drone gets released faster than the Mini series.
Yeah,
right,
they get them. Ron, that's a great point because they've been cranking them out left and right. Okay, notice how long it took to go from the Mavic 2 Zoom and Pro to the Mavic 3. That was out almost 4 years. Okay, that was a long time. These mini drones, okay, it's like no more than a year.
And Bill,
we've seen
remember,
another
people,
mini
a lot of those people are still flying the Mavic 2 Pro because they held off on the Mavic 3 because of the price. Well, they'll be getting off the fence now
Oh yeah,
next week when
and
the
that's another good point
1399 Classic
that I
comes out.
wanted to ask you guys. Okay, who do you think are going to be the potential buyers for the Mavic 3 Classic? Okay.
Well, number one, people are still on the fence with flying the Mavic 2 Pro because of the price, and people with the Air 2S want to upgrade.
Yeah, that's true, Ron. That's a great point. And I would say that there are probably some people that, boy, they really wanted that Mavic 3 when it came out, and now all of a sudden there's an affordable version, and they'll probably get on it. Now, how big of a market is that? I don't know, but $1,400 for a Micro Four Thirds, that Micro Four Thirds camera, and let's face it, Ron, 99% of the time we're on the Micro Four Thirds camera with the Mavic 3, not the telephoto.
Right.
The upper camera.
Right.
So yeah,
Exactly.
I mean, I think there's definitely a market out there, and they'll sell a lot. Will it sell like the Air 2S or the Mini? Certainly not, but I'm sure.
I use the Explorer mode on the Mavic 3 more than I ever did, basically because they made a lot of firmware upgrades over the course of the summer that made it a much more interesting setup now.
I agree with you, Ron, and I do as well. And usually just to peek out and see what's out there, right? However, if that drone didn't have that telephoto top camera, it'd still be the best drone that I own by a good margin.
Right.
So.
But when you're exploring around, that comes in real handy.
It does.
Mm-hmm. Now, Sean really nailed it with his comment here. We never see what's coming from DJI until they tell us what we want. Marcus is always, that's another thing Marcus always says. The research is impeccable and always spots the market gap. Spot on, Sean. They are the Jedi masters in marketing. I mean, they really, and I said this before you guys joined me. Okay. The golden ticket and the DJI store days or whatever they call them. Okay. We all kind of laughed, and with good reason, because, there was really nothing on sale, but that probably wasn't their point behind this. Okay. Their point was to drive traffic to the website. Okay. Which they did. All right. And they know that, it's going to, people are they work on them. Okay. It works on people, especially people who are on the bubble. Somebody with a Mavic 2 Pro wanted to consider upgrading, and then boom, the Mavic 3 Classic is going to hit. Or, these people on the fence about having a Mini and wanting to upgrade to maybe an Air 2S or something like this. Yeah. And they see things and then boom, they're really smart. They really do a great job.
But were they smart when they knew people wanted, or maybe they didn't know, people wanted a mini drone with a better camera, and they all beat them to the punch with the Nano Plus with a high resolution camera.
Sort of. and listen, the reason I'm saying that, in all seriousness, really for the first 3 or 4 months or even more that drone was out, the camera had the shakes in it and stuff. It just wasn't. It wasn't a viable product.
Actually, we'll go all the way back to the Zito Mini Pro release. Even though that was a flawed product, when they announced that Mini Pro, and that was only about 6 months after the Mini 2 came out, the spec sheets on that on the Zito Mini 2 Pro was exactly what most consumers want on a mini drone. Wouldn't you agree, Marcus? The better camera.
Oh my goodness!
They had all the stuff that we kind of wanted that the Mini 2 did not have. But I mean, Hubsan, of course, they couldn't deliver on their specs.
They still can't deliver with that poor little drone.
Oh, gosh!
But that was but they laid out that day. That was the blueprint, really. That basically the Mini 3 Pro became.
Yeah.
Well, that's a really good point, Ron, because we're all, and I know when we talked about this way back when it was coming out, and we used the word if this holds up to what these specs are, okay, it's going to be a game changer, okay? And unfortunately, it was doomed from the start when they had that preview, that live launch that was just a total disaster, and it just went steadily downhill after that with them, okay? And because we were all hoping that this could be a drone that really would be good, but it ended up, just taking a nosedive.
It ended up becoming the Exo Mini.
Yeah, I mean, really, it just totally the bottom just totally fell out of it. So, but here's another question for you guys, and I was thinking about this as well. Okay, we know the Inspire 3 is going to be coming out sometime before the end of the year. Do we see on the horizon that Pocket 3 coming out before Christmas? What do you guys think?
Well, that was on the roadmap that our friend Asila put out at the beginning of the year, and I think he everything on the roadmap has happened so far.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to doubt it because he's batting, in the playoffs here. He's batting 1,000 so far. Marcus, what do you think?
Well, I was just going to say, Ron, you're looking forward to that, and you've been the guy that's kind of convinced me of the goodness of that Pocket series of cameras. I had the original Pocket and wasn't terribly crazy about it, but you have convinced me of the use case for that camera.
Trinity's comment: the Pocket 3 will be awesome. Well, that's a good question. I mean, we've had the GoPro Hero 11. Now I'm talking; these are action cameras, and that's not an action camera. But just making a point, Action 3, the Insta3 XD, they're all good releases. But are they really upgrade worthy? Will the Pocket 3 break that cycle and really be upgrade worthy if you have the previous model?
Good question. I mean,
that's it. How would we know? I mean,
it's kind of awesome, but will the Pocket 3 will be awesome, but will it be awesome to upgrade if you have a perfectly working Pocket 2?
Okay, a good example of that is the difference between the Action 2 and the Action 3. Really, it's the same camera. It's just form factor. Really, that's the difference between those two cameras is form factor. So. Yeah.
I mean, Trinity says it's going to get the 1-inch sensor. Well, we heard the Hero 11 was going to get the 1-inch sensor.
Did we lose Ron?
Ron's a little frozen there right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good point about that sensor. For me, my big thing about it, okay, believe it or not, I know they harped on it when the first Pocket came out, was the sound, okay, and recording the sound from that. That was a real problem area with
they have way improved that.
Yeah. The Pocket 2 was like light years ahead of that.
Well, just the microphones, I can tell you on the Action 2 are phenomenal. I'm always stunned when I don't want to get the mic out and I just use the Action 2. And if in a no-wind situation, if you get, and even it even handles moderate wind pretty well. But the fidelity of those microphones on that little camera are kind of insane.
Yeah. And that's why I'm really hoping, I think hopefully Ron will rejoin us here. I'm really hoping with this Pocket 3, okay, that maybe Trini's right. Maybe it will have that 1-inch sensor, because if it does, that could really kind of like send it over the top and really make a statement, okay? Because when the Pocket first came out, I was very intrigued by it. But then, I looked at some of the early reviews, and one of the big things was the sound quality from it. And, I was like real sketchy after that, because when you want a device like that, Marcus, you don't want to have to, and I know I got my Osmo Action all rigged up with a Rode mic and everything, but you don't want to have to add a lot to this. Okay. You want a device to grab and go and shoot, okay, and to shoot some good video with, and you don't want to have to, go through a lot of headaches and hassle to get it going. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's the amazing thing about the Action 2 and the Mini 3 with the DJI RC. I was using both of those today. I did a couple flights today, and I just think about all the stuff that I used to do when I had my GoPro, putting the media mod on it, plugging microphones into it, doing all that stuff. Whereas with the Action 2, I just set it on the tripod, plug the mic receiver in the side. With the Mini 3, I just fired up the RC, and boom, I'm ready to go.
Well, you know what's on my Christmas list this year, okay? that DJI mic is on my Christmas list. Okay.
It is for me. It's just been a game changer. I had the Hollyland system that I liked, but the difference with the Mavic or the DJI mic system is that you can choose to record just to the mic itself. You don't even need to use the receivers if you don't feel like it. You just record to the mic, you upload that file, and then when you're editing, you just synchronize it with the audio off the camera. Boom.
Yeah, that's just wow.
The DJI mic has changed my workflow greatly, and to the good, of course, or whatever. It's really been a revolutionary device for me since I picked it up. You agree, Marcus?
I absolutely agree. It's been it's just a phenomenal little piece of tech. Yeah.
And I went out today to explore some beach erosion down in Wildwood, and I had a drone with me, but for the B-roll, all I did was take my new Osmo Mobile 6, which is somewhere around here, and the DJI mic, and I got all the B-roll on the ground just with those two devices. And the setup was simpler than getting out my action cameras, because then you have to put the on the GoPro, you have to put the case on and get the mic.
The media mod, yeah.
Man, it just slaps on that phone. The gimbal perfectly balances the phone with the transmitter on the end of whatever. It was the perfect, easy on-the-go vlogger setup.
Hey, I just need to say thank you, Captain Ray. You're a good friend. I appreciate that.
Yes, thank you, Captain Ray. You complimented all of us. Yeah. Ron, I got a question for you. Baseball, okay? All right. Who are the Phillies playing?
They're not playing the Pirates.
Right. Oh, I know that.
They're playing the San Diego Padres tonight, Bill.
Okay. What's your prediction?
Well, just for this game or the series?
For the series.
Well, I guess we got to go with the Phillies. They won. Well, actually, I think they were the worst team the worst playoff team nationally. They had 87 wins, and the Padres had 89. But I'm sure glad we're not playing the 111 win Dodgers tonight.
Oh yeah, it's I don't know if you heard, and this was funny. I saw a clip of this today. The manager of the Dodgers, I don't know how long ago. I think before the playoffs started, he was on Dan Patrick's show. And he told Dan Patrick, "Yeah, we're going to win the World Series. Of course we are."
Oh.
They get ousted by the Padres.
Well, of course, even if you were on the worst team in the playoffs, you still wouldn't say you're not going to win. Yeah. So.
So.
And how about the Steelers? You were pretty down on the Steelers last week, but they redeemed themselves this week with a big comeback.
Well, let me put it to you this way, okay? They talk about. Rubber bands and duct tape and everything. That's how they won that game on Sunday. It was rubber bands and duct tape.
You know what they say, though? A win's a win, Bill.
Win is a win. That's true. That's very true. So, any closing thoughts, Marcus?
Yeah, like we talked about it a little bit yesterday on Drone Nation. We are in the perfect flying season right now in fall. And Ron, just before you got on, I was just telling Bill, by this weekend, we're going to be in the cold, wintry weather again. So, I've just been rushing out to fly as much as I can. I put a couple batteries through the Mini 3 today, and tomorrow I'm going to take that Fimi X8 SE out and do some more flying with it. And until good weather is going to last here until Friday. So I'm trying to make a plan for every day to get out and fly as much as I can.
Good. Maximize that good weather.
How about you, Ron?
I was flying today. It wasn't that great in the morning, but it was like in the low 50s. But it's still better than winter because actually the ocean's still warm. So the breeze coming off the ocean was actually warmer than what was coming in the land. So I've been flying a lot, Bill. I've got a comparison. I'm going to do a Mini 2 versus Mini 3 comparison video. I've got all filmed. I got to get it edited. And I had the Nano along with me, so I got a little bonus that got the Nano in there too to see how it stacked up against those guys. So that'll be coming out in the near future.
You just reminded me of something, Ron. You remember you were telling me about your Nano, how you did the precision landing with it?
Yes.
When I was flying it yesterday, the video I just published today, I flew that yesterday, and God, I was all excited. I thought, oh man, I'm going to see if I can get a precision landing like Ron. And I had the landing pad on a little picnic table there and so forth. And then I remembered as I was coming back, no, my bottom sensors aren't working right. And sure enough, when it came back, it gave me unsafe to land, and then the sensors blowing up, and
That's a shame.
yeah. Well, anyway, I'm just saying, I was so excited. Ron got a good landing. I'm going to see if I can too.
Bill, I was telling Marcus, I had no idea whether the Nano had precision landing or not, and it came back, and it was even on the screen. It was talking about making adjustments. So when it came down, and landed perfectly, just like as good as I've ever seen a drone land on precision landing, and we're telling you the whole time, and you can see it adjusting. It was, I knocked the Nano for some things, but I don't know if it can ever do it again, but it sure did it good the other day.
Yeah.
So,
well, one of the things that I wanted to, I know I dropped in some comments, and our good friend, and I know Marcus knows him, Richard.
yes.
Got an email from him today, and I kind of wanted to clarify some things because I know he's his SSBQ 73.
Yeah, he probably got on your case about criticizing the TX smart controller last night.
Yeah, and one of the things that I wanted to mention before I close, kind of my closing thoughts tonight was this. Okay, I'm not saying and I was real clear with Richard in my reply back to him. I'm not bashing it. Okay. So, I was extremely frustrated with it, and I'm going to put a video together, and I never put this together, and I probably should, that shows if the screen froze up on me in flight. Okay. And,
that's bad.
Yeah. That's not a good thing, and there were several other things too. I had some problems trying to get the screen recorder downloaded because I set the controller and it lost the screen recorder app that came from Fimi, and I had all kind of issues doing that. And then they had an issue with the clock setting on there, and then Google Maps is an issue. You can't get Google Maps on there. And it just, for me right now, I told him an email, and guys, I may revisit the whole thing at another point in time, but right now, no, I'm not. It's like, okay, I like my workflow. I like for things to go. When I'm going out there to fly the Mavic 3 or the Mini 3 Pro, bringing up the DJI RC or the DJI RC Pro, I like things to click. I like it to work,
It was more than you wanted to deal with, right?
Yeah, exactly, Marcus. It's exactly right.
Hey guys, I got to run. I got to pop over to the Nike show. Thanks for joining everybody in chat for joining us. Thanks for Sean. I see Geeks Fun has been a big part of the chat thing. Lon, all the regular people, thank you for helping out, and we'll see you next week.
All right.
Sounds good, Ron. Thank you.
Hey, I want to say one more thing, Bill.
Sure
there's been a lot. You brought up this issue. You're talking about having a difference of opinion on that controller on the Fimi. There's a lot of different drones out there, and we all have different experiences. Listen, my experience with that Autel Nano Plus is different than many others. There's a lot of other people that absolutely love that drone, and they've had a perfect experience. It's not that I'm right and they're wrong, and it's not that they're right or not. I mean, it's just, we have the right to have different opinions, and we all need to just respect each other's opinions and understand that we all may have different experiences with the same product. So, let's just I've seen a lot of people throwing a few slings and arrows lately. What does that do for us?
It doesn't nothing. Exactly. Does
absolutely nothing.
There's no need to go over things like that. Okay. It's like, okay, we're all here for one purpose. We all enjoy drones. We all want to have fun with them, and we all enjoy hanging out together, and that's the bottom line. Let me also say this too. My son-in-law is enjoying his Fimi. Okay. He's having
and the one that I got, it's been working great, Bill.
That may be in my wheelhouse, Marcus. I'm really considering that. So, want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight. Your great comments, and I want to thank those that come over to us, like Sean Geeks Fauna, our good friend Stephen Ewing. Okay, they're over in the UK. I mean, you guys are real troopers, and thank you guys so much, because it's an effort, and we know that, and we really appreciate that, both at Drone Nation and here on Rotor Talk Live. So all you guys, take care. Remember, it's a great day to fly. See you later.